Hey, what's up, guys? This is David Chase Taylor of 911truther.org. Today is June 16th of 2025. So, based on breaking news in advance, it appears the CIA headquarters located beneath CERN at Lake Geneva in Switzerland has ordered the U.S. Department of Justice to issue a multi-count federal indictment against U.S. President Donald J. Trump for crimes related to the so-called Epstein files for an FBI-based arrest raid targeting Donald J. Trump when he returns to the United States on the date of June 17th of 2026. That being said, Donald J. Trump, who's currently at the G7 summit in Evian, France, may be arrested while abroad for the same exact purposes. So before I get into the potential charges against Donald J. Trump, I just want to highlight the numerology of June 17th of 2026. Firstly, the number 17 equates to the letter Q in the English alphabet, which is an acronym, which is symbolic of coup d'etat. This is where this term came from. So this is an overthrow of the Trump presidency. And in order to foreshadow this, J.D. Vance just gave an interview with former Fox News host Megyn Kelly, in which he stated that he is a so-called Epstein conspiracy theorist. And this is designed to highlight the Epstein files just prior to Trump's arrest for links to the Epstein files. The date of June 17th marks exactly 104 days since the sixth and final trove of the Epstein files was released back on March 5th of 2026. The number 104 or 14 is found in the motto of Switzerland, one for all for one. Also, the date of June 17th marks exactly 180 days since the first trove of the Epstein files was released back on December 19th of 2025. The number 180 or 18 is reflected in the National Day of Switzerland, which is August 1st, 1-8 or 8-1. And the date of June 17th also marks exactly 210 days since the so-called Epstein Transparency Act was passed by the United States Senate and subsequently signed by U.S. President Donald J. Trump back on November 19th of 2025. Of course, number 210 or 21 equates to the letter U, which is a synonym for you, like Jew, because this is a Israeli Mossad sex trafficking ring. So obviously, they would execute this on that particular numerology. Also, the date of June 17th marks exactly 4,162 days since Gawker published a report entitled "Here is Pedophile Billionaire Jeffrey Epstein's Little Black Book," and this is what essentially started. This is the birth of the Epstein files scandal back on January 24th of 2015. Of course, the number 4162, this has the number 41 or 14, which is found in the motto of Switzerland, all for one for all. It has the number 16, which is found in the CIA, 16-pointed CIA star, found in the logo of the CIA. And it also has the number 42 or 24, which equates to the letter X, because this is going to X out U.S. President Donald J. Trump. Lastly, the date of June 17th marks exactly 29,223 days since Donald J. Trump was born in Queens, New York, back on June 14th of 1946. Of course, the number 223 backwards is 322, which is found in the logo of Skull and Bones, which is a esoteric secret society at Yale. And that is because the impending arrest of Donald J. Trump and his subsequent death, which I'll get into in a second, post-arrest, is designed to spawn the presidency of one J.D. Vance, who coincidentally went to Yale, who is likely a Skull and Bones member. John Kerry, George W. Bush, and numerous other presidents and high-profile politicians in the United States belong to this esoteric club. You can Google it, but it's a secret society if there ever was one. So the impending arrest of Donald J. Trump on the date of June 17th, a coup against the Trump administration, is going to birth the presidency of J.D. Vance on the 322 skull and bones numerology. Okay, so the potential charges that the DOJ has been ordered by CIA headquarters to arrest Donald J. Trump for is obviously not known, but it's most likely going to involve one or more of the following points. So the 2015 disappearance of Jeffrey Epstein victim Michelle, unnamed last name, of Germany. Crimes related to Epstein Island, Jeffrey Epstein himself, or Jeffrey Epstein's sex trafficking ring. A quid pro quo extortion racket designed to extract monies from persons named in the Epstein files in exchange for monies delivered to the Trump administration and or orders for the United States Department of Justice to stand down. Sex crimes committed against underage Jane Does. This will likely be flanked by artificial intelligence generated photos, videos, and audio files and or phone calls to corroborate the notion that Trump engaged in sexual acts with underage females. So they are likely going to release a unredacted version of the previously redacted version of the Epstein files, which will likely have Donald J. Trump's face on numerous photos with underage women, likely committing heinous sex crimes with said women. There's also the possibility that Donald J. Trump will be arrested for alleged links to the so-called suicide assassination of Epstein victim Virginia Giuffre, the suicide assassination of sex trafficker Jean-Luc Brunel, the suicide assassination of sex trafficker Jeffrey Epstein, which many don't believe he's actually dead, a U.S. Department of Justice-based cover-up of Jeffrey Epstein files-related crimes, violation of 18 U.S. Code 4, misprison of a felony, in that Trump knew of felonies being committed against underage women or otherwise and then failed to notify the proper authorities, and or evidence recovered at Zorro Ranch, likely articles of clothing with Trump's DNA on it that will corroborate the notion that he had sex with underage females, a hard drive or a laptop which contains photos, videos, or audio files or phone calls or emails of Donald J. Trump's alleged sex crimes against underage females, and or the cover-up of these crimes. There's also the recent report that just came out that Donald J. Trump held emergency meetings in the Situation Room of the White House with J.D. Vance, Susie Wiles, Carolyn Levitt, Kash Patel, Pam Bondi, etc., in which they discussed the best way to handle these Epstein files scandal. And then there's the possibility that Trump will be blamed for sabotaging the political careers of Nancy Mace of South Carolina and Thomas Massie of Kentucky by basically engaging in so-called election interference to remove them from office after voting for the aforementioned Epstein Transparency Act back on November 19th of 2025. So what's imperative to note here is that aside from the fact that June 17th, the number 17 equates to letter Q is in coup d'etat, it's also featured in the name of QAnon. So what the CIA plans to do is arrest Donald J. Trump, and then they're going to stage an escalating series of domestic attacks, assassinations, political assassinations, bombings, and terror attacks across the United States. This is going to be executed by the Israeli Mossad under the guise of attacks by Trump loyalists. And then they're also going to basically, once Trump is in custody, they're going to knock him off in some form or fashion prior to facing charges in a court of law. So I'll just state it for the record here for the millionth time. If Donald J. Trump is arrested for crimes related to the Epstein files, he will never see the inside of a courtroom. That is because he will be terminated in some form or fashion prior. The most likely scenario, obviously, is a suicide assassination, just as they did with Virginia Giuffre, Jean-Luc Brunel, and Jeffrey Epstein. Trump would be number 4th victim of the suicide assassination. That's the most likely scenario. The second most likely is that Trump suffers some sort of medical-related emergency or he dies under the guise of natural causes. And then the third most likely is that Trump dies after engaging in a physical altercation with law enforcement. They also could say that he had an allergic reaction, or he was killed by one of his cellmates, or what have you. Obviously, the possibilities for his assassination are endless. What's imperative to note is he will never ever see the inside of a courtroom, because the case against him is fraudulent in nature, because the Department of Justice under the Biden administration had exactly 4 years to file charges against Trump. And so if there was any real evidence of his crimes against underage women, or being part of the sex trafficking ring being run by the Israeli Mossad, then of course it would have been prosecuted. But because it's a fabricated case, they plan to arrest him, and then they plan to throw as much shit on the wall and see what sticks. So like I said in previous videos, once Trump is taken into custody, he will likely be in custody anywhere from a few hours to a few days. But I believe he will be dead within a week once he's in custody. There's also the possibility that they could kill him off under the guise of a self-inflicted suicide or some medical-related event, and then send him to one of their CIA black sites and then torture him for the next 5 to 10 years until he dies of torture. So this is a very, very important, this frame job of Trump is very important to recognize, because this is Switzerland and her CIA basically framing a sitting U.S. president for crimes he did not commit, specifically to bring about World War III, because as soon as J.D. Vance gets into office, as I've stated a million times as well, he will order the full-scale invasion of Iran, which will ultimately draw China and Russia into the conflict, the ongoing Iran war, and then we'll have World War III. So what's imperative to note here is that the entire Epstein files is a coup. It's while they're going to execute it on the 17th, will never go away. This scandal will never go away until Donald J. Trump is removed from power, and that appears to happen. It's going to happen on the day of June 17th. But because Trump is in France right now, they may send agents abroad from the United States over there, or they may have the ICC, UN police, or Interpol arrest Trump in France and then deport him back to the United States. So that appears to be what's going to happen in the next 24 hours. So obviously, if this comes to fruition in reality, I would kindly ask that you download this video and share it with local, state, and federal law enforcement, military, and intelligence officials, as well as with local, national, and international media outlets.